And thank you for tuning in to Dell's Discretion. This is my podcast. I am Dell. You can follow me on my website, DellDidway.com, and let me spell that for you. That's DELDUDUIT.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, on Parler, on Instagram. They're all the same. It's at Dell Didway. Again, I'll spell that DELDUDUIT. Pronounced Didway or Dudouis in French. I'm excited for this podcast. One of my favorite stories from my book, Dugout Devotions, because I'm getting ready to launch Dugout Devotions 2. That'll be out March 8th officially. You can pre-order it right now on Amazon, or you can go to newhopepublishers.com. Dugout Devotions 2. I'm really pleased how well Dugout Devotions 1 went. For those of you who don't know, they're my personal interviews with some of Major League Baseball's biggest names. And it's not about baseball, but it's about stories of faith and how a lot of these men made it through some of their struggles, made it through some of their obstacles by relying on faith. I know that's not a popular thing to talk about right now, but it's what we have to get through each day is faith. Faith in God, faith in our loved ones. You can't say faith in the government anymore. At least I can't. Maybe in a couple of years. So, one of my more favorite stories that I wrote in Dugout Devotions was when I went down to Tampa, took my son down to Yankees spring training, and I was able to spend some time with Andy Pettittte, a big lefty from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Great pitcher. I was able to speak to him fairly shortly after, the storm that rumbled through Tampa when Andy talked about his involvement with human growth hormones, or HGH. Because he faced some scrutiny in 2007 when his name appeared in the Mitchell Report with accusations that he used HGH. This led to a public apology. It damaged his reputation. He had a spotless reputation. And it put, in doubt his jeopardy for entry into Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I think in 2020, he received enough votes to get back on the ballot. So that was a big sigh of relief. And he told me, when we sat down right near the batter's box outside the dugout at George Steinbrenner Stadium down in Tampa, he told me, sometimes, and he said it in this, I'm accused of having a southern twang that I don't hear, but Andy's got one. I mean, he's got a really deep southern accent. And he says, sometimes you feel you're living as well as you can live and serving God, and you feel like everything's clicking, and you still get blindsided. And he was talking about what happened to him. And he went into detail about it, and he told me about it, and you know what? I believed him. There's sometimes when you can just tell somebody's telling you the truth. But it goes back to 2002 when Andy, he's a pitcher, so he got tendonitis in his left elbow, and he's a lefty. And during his rehab, his trainer injected him with HGH. It's a synthetic hormone. It's meant to rapidly increase growth of muscle mass and help the body to heal. And when he took it, it was not a banned substance. So let me repeat that. It was not banned when he took it. But a lot of folks still looked at him as cheating. In 2002, he told me he took it for 2 days. It was supplied by his trainer. He took it again in 2004. But the second time, he obtained it through a kind of a shaky way. It was through a prescription that was supposed to be written out to his father. And he told me, he says, during that time when nobody knew that he did it, he said, I knew, and my Father knew, and my Heavenly Father knew. And he struggled whether to expose his father's involvement. But he told me he couldn't sleep. It bothered him. And it became clear to him at that time he must tell the truth. And he looked at me and he goes, I didn't take it to get an edge. I took it to help my body heal. And he said, oh, that was stupid on his part. But that was his job, to pitch. And he was having problems with his body healing. So he told the facts, later used that experience to, minister to young kids on the importance of telling the truth. Went into a lot of churches and youth groups and talked about his struggles. And telling the real story about what happened revealed God's grace to him even more. He said the Lord's always molding you and making us and what he wants us to be. Then things push you to speak more and share your testimony more. And he got the opportunity to do that. And Andy's stint in Major League speaks for itself. 256 wins, 163 losses, an ERA of 3.85, 5 World Series rings with the Yankees, 5. American League Championship Series most valuable player. And the list goes on and on and on. But when he had to face the New York media and stand up and tell the world what he did, that took guts, it took humility, but it was the right thing to do. Even when it hurt his reputation, showing honesty gave him that same rush as striking out the side in the bottom of the ninth to win the game. Maybe you're facing a similar situation. Although I don't think the whole sports world's going to know what you did. You're not going to get up in front of the media, the New York media, and reveal what you've done. But God knows. Honesty might lead to disciplinary actions at work. Honesty could mean a failing grade. Honesty could mean a breakup. But cheating and getting by with falsehoods will only hurt you and those involved in the end. It's not worth it. Prepare yourself daily to be honest, even when it's not popular. Now, this doesn't mean you go out and intentionally hurt people. You can appreciate the difference. It's about right and it's about wrong. The hardest part in revealing the facts, I think, is worrying about the consequences. Andy probably thought, hey, this is going to hurt my chances into the Hall of Fame. This could hurt my career. This could hurt my future. And that's normal. What could happen? That's normal. There may be serious repercussions. Again, maybe you've done something at work and you come clean and you could get fired over it. Maybe you could have a relationship breakup over something. But it's best to get it out in the open. Keeping secrets can cause health problems. Keeping secrets It can cause animosity, cause bitterness. Andy had trouble sleeping at night. And the bottom line is God already knows. So you might as well come clean, right? And if you're having troubles, everybody has these troubles. I've had these troubles. I've had these battles to talk about things. But in the end, you have to have that conversation. That's the toughest move. It's got to start somewhere. So inform people ahead of time. Don't catch them off guard. Say, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Can we set aside some time? It's scary at first. Use kind language, show empathy and remorse. Show remorse. Handle it with grace. Don't accuse people. Make sure the setting fits the significance. Less serious conversations could take place in public, but a more important conversation might be best at a small cafe or a park, or even during a stroll or a walk or a dinner. Be thankful you're not required to talk about it the way Andy did on a podium with television cameras in your face. Initiate conversation. Be positive. Stay upbeat. See the good in the situation. Caution the other person that might be difficult to talk about, might be difficult to hear. There's times when hearing the facts may be tougher than revealing them. It's going to make you feel better to get it off your chest, but the person hearing it, they might not like it. I've been in those shoes. I've had to deliver information to people I loved. Or something I did. It's not easy. Get to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't sugarcoat it. Putting the conversation off makes it harder. Get right in, right? It gets easier after you ask for forgiveness. It gets easier. The biggest thing is you have to learn from the mistake. Andy told me, he says, God told me to do the right thing no matter what. Treat people the right way. It'll come back to you later in life. That's the key. Never hold a grudge. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. And don't blame other people. Take responsibility. Integrity must be part of a journey, especially if you're a believer. Will you make mistakes? You're darn right you will. Will you learn from them? I hope you do. Will you fess up to them? You better. This doesn't mean blab everything you know. Use discretion. That's why this podcast is called Dell's Discretion. Use discretion and discernment. Lying lips, as they say, are an abomination. Those who tell the truth are his delight. And there are many benefits to pleasing God. That's just a little excerpt of one of the chapters in Dugout Devotions. Again, Dugout Devotions 2 comes out here in a couple of weeks. Doesn't have Andy Pettittte in it, but it's got a lot more Major League Baseball players and coaches and managers that I was able to talk with. And I enjoyed it. Andy didn't have to sit down and talk to me about this. But you know what? Him sharing his story with me led to me writing a story in Sports Spectrum. It led to a chapter in the book. I mean, he told thousands of people on the air, but he's also told a few hundred people who've read my books. Telling the truth matters. Having integrity matters. So do that. If you're ever in that situation, don't put it off. Face the facts. Ask for forgiveness and own up to your mistakes. Learn from them. and then move forward. Keep throwing strikes. I hope you look forward to Dugout Devotions 2 coming out soon. New Hope Publishers, Iron Stream Media. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of things you can listen to. I'm glad you listened to this, and it's catching on. I've been very encouraged by the feedback I've been getting. Dell's Discretion, every Saturday morning. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, whatever else is out there, at Dell Goodway. Go out there today and make a positive difference.